Now, about 2 weeks ago, I got the privilege of experiencing one of the most exhilarating emotions that all watch enthusiasts can often only hear about. It's the elusive call from their local Rolex dealer. Now, to spare you all of the torturous details, such as me gushing and giggling over this experience like a little girl with her new tiara and Snow Queen dress and fireworks in the background, I'll just tell you that it's a very uplifting experience. I feel honored, I feel special, and unless you're someone who has so much influence that the mere mention of your name rolls out red carpets, summons camera flashes, and champagne showers, you may be jaded by this experience already. But for us commoners, it is still a spectacle, an event unto itself. This may also mean something about the general Rolex market right now. And as promising as this may sound like, there's actually an even more significant event for me personally that happens to also involve Rolex. Now, before I share that with you, let us all discuss and examine how this call from the AD may possibly mean something significant for you as well. Let's briefly sum up the Rolex market for many people outside the watch hobby circle. Rolex is the most popular watch brand to the point of being an emblem of achievement and success for the greater viewing public. This perception is proliferated by Rolex marketing strategy throughout the decades and then largely shared by social media with the advent of the internet. They make watches of high quality and prestigious, even though it's not the best quality and it's not the most prestigious. It's remarkably very popular that even people who don't follow watch-related current events know what a Rolex watch is. Because of this incredible weight in value, the trading market for Rolex is exceptionally different from the rest of the watch market. While traditionally limited production watches tend to be the more desired pieces, the Rolex market replaces this with attainability. Rolex mass produces their pieces, and yet they are still harder to get because of that massive demand coming from the public. The public here is not just coming from watch enthusiasts but also from anyone else who knows about Rolex. Car lovers, shoe collectors, bag enthusiasts, and everyone else who knows about luxury goods all know about Rolex. The audience is multiple times bigger compared to other brands who mainly trade in the same retail range. While the ratio between the two segments of the market may look similar, Rolex is multiplied many folds over. This is the oversimplification of the Rolex market that many actual experts hate to see coming from amateurs like me. But this is the best that I can do to show how incredibly sought after a Rolex watch is. Now, to work with this kind of demand, waitlists have been created in the effort to land the right watch at the most qualified wrists. So the closer you are to the top of the list, the closer you are at owning your preferred watch. Obviously, despite what authorized dealers may say, the person in front of you on the list is highly likely there earlier than you, or likely possesses a name that summons red carpets, camera flashes, and champagne showers. This is what makes Rolex valuable to many people. It's a luxury good that requires a lot of money and waiting. So when your local Rolex dealer gives you a call about that model that you're waitlisted for, you're expected to hand over your scalpel to your first assistant or anesthetist, drive like Steve McQueen in Bullet to your local AD. You have to do it in the next 30 minutes before your contact puts the watch in the dreaded display case. Because all watch enthusiasts know that the display case is where all Rolex sports watches pass on to horological nirvana. This is where the unusual part of my story comes in. I also got this call from our local dealer. Now, this Rolex Datejust blue dial on a fluted bezel and Jubilee bracelet is simply stunning to behold. It's blissed materialized, and you can only imagine my surprise that I even got this call in the first place. Because you see, the unusual part of that is that I only have one piece that I bought from that AD, which is back in 2015. And suffice to say, the mere mention of my name would only induce, at most, from the dealers, maybe a smirk here and there, a couple of raised eyebrows, and probably 2 or 3 eye rolls. I'm also in no wait list because when I asked them that before the pandemic, they said that there's no point of making wait lists because they're not even getting any stocks at all. They abolished that completely, so what's the point? So, If I'm mere Joe Nobody, who is also not in any wait list, how did they know that I would like a Blue Dialed Datejust in the first place? And more importantly, why would they even call me at all? Well, let's answer that first question. For the 15,344 times that I've been in that store, while my wife, of course, visits that Coach outlet in front of it, someone is actually taking notes of what I often talk about. Also, since they required the visitors to write on their logbook, it's rather easy to reference my name rather than just call me Mr. Blue Dial Asian Face. And of course, the many times that I actually gave my name and number because they simply asked with respect consent. So why did they give me a call? Maybe it's because I really am just 10 minutes away from their store, and more likely because Rolex inventory is actually being shipped. There was a well-documented shortage of production after all. We have also seen videos about the normalizing of Rolex prices. But while many attribute this to the market correction after the pandemic, I think it's more rational to think that the Rolex supply chain is finally moving again. With some decent Googling, you'll find that there's an increased amount of stories about getting the call. Within our watch groups, I've also observed an increased amount of these calls from members as they recall their joy and elation. But that may hold the most logical explanation of all. The call itself has become a culture of sorts. It doesn't happen often, and effort is needed to even be considered. So when it does come, it is to be documented and celebrated. That celebration is now displayed rather easily in social networks. For every one of these videos posted, hundreds more may be inspired to do the same when they inevitably get the call. One of them was me. So that explains this video. I got the call, and this immortalizes that fateful day. Now, as unusual that video may be, equally unusual is the result. I actually did not buy that Datejust. It will set me back $10,000 and would put me in debt if I hopped onto my Honda Civic and drove fast and furiously to that AD. I still felt honored and special, but I also felt ashamed and embarrassed that I let my AD down and did not pick up that piece. My watch friends told me though that it is okay and there's no shame at saying no to a piece that came at the wrong time. It simply is not the right time. But to me, it's the culture that Rolex created and handed over to its enthusiasts like us that really evoked the enjoyment in a more different and more positive way. And that brings us to the second event that happened this couple of weeks that also is related to Rolex. One of our viewers actually contacted me, gave me a call of a different kind, and wanted to meet up with me since they were passing Aruba in one of their tours. Never in 1,000 years could I have ever imagined that I will be able to create content and much more meet the people that actually watch my videos. It may be easy in major cities, and actually it happens all the time that you watch folks meet up together in these community events and watch tours and watch meets. But for a small island paradise like Aruba with a lonely YouTuber talking about small niche antiquated technology, this is really very hard to come by and even rarity. But someone like the 13 of you who's still watching this video found it a good idea to have dinner with this Mr. Blue Dial Asian Face, and it's actually awesome. We shared our love for Rolex, although I brought an Omega to the table. Joshua was there doing all the talking while I did all the drinking. And we even talked about the call, among other things. Yes, we talked about other things mostly, like most of you do in those watch meets. I can now proudly say that I've met a couple of watch enthusiasts along with their wives. Something that is truly rare, at least for me, and far more valuable than getting that Blue Datejust. It's the first time meeting any of you viewers, and it's a call I'm much happier to have taken. So thank you so much, Detroit Spartan and friends. It's an awesome evening I'll never forget. This is the best side of the watch community, making friends with people who share the same passion as you do. Rolex may not be actively participating in these humble dinners, but I imagine they'd be more than happy to be part of any conversation in any shape or form in these dinners and watch meets. Because, after all, it is part of their plan, part of their blueprint for giving and heeding the call.